Welcome back to Couch Talk, everybody. I just got out of the theater watching the newest film, Blink Twice, directed by Zoe Kravitz, and boy, do I feel like I need to wash myself off. This film stars Naomi Ackie and Alia Shawkat. They play two best friends who are attending this gala event for this very rich mogul Slater King, played by Channing Tatum. They have a huge crush on him and want to get to meet him, and by chance they do, and he winds up actually taking a liking to them. After chit-chatting the night away, he winds up inviting them back to his private island where the party will continue. Upon getting there, against their better judgment, they're wooed with these amazing hotel rooms, delicious food, endless mimosas, fishing, sitting by the poolside, dancing the night away. They're having the time of their lives. However, slowly over the course of their stay, they start to forget things from the night before. Serious things. They start to forget what day it is, and it's only once someone goes missing that the main character picks up that there's something off about this island and something more sinister actually happening here. That's when our main character, Naomi Ackie, winds up befriending Adria Arjona's character, who initially start this movie off as enemies because they're both fighting over Slater King's attention, and the two of them team up to try and put together what's happening and put a stop to it. I'm not gonna lie, guys, when I first sat down to watch this movie, I wasn't even initially going to see it, but there wasn't a whole lot of great movies to see this week. That's not to say that I didn't think Blink Twice looked good. It's just I'm a week or so late. People have already seen this movie, and I wouldn't be surprised if like one person watches this review, because anyone that cared about reviews for this film probably already seen the movie. But the only other movies playing this week was 1982 or 1992, some movie with Tyrese Gibson, which looks like a straight-to-DVD film, but it was starring Ray Liotta, and he has passed away, so I feel like this was the studio's chance to put this film on a big screen and hope that the Ray Liotta audience, the Ray Liotta fan base, would show up to watch this film, but it just felt so cheap. And that's nothing against Tyrese Gibson. I do love him in a lot of movies that he's in, but it looked like a Netflix streaming movie that you'd forget about in T-minus 2 minutes. And then the other film was this movie Slingshot, starring Casey Affleck, Lawrence Fishburne, and somebody else, and whatever, you don't want to hear this. It also did not look good, and I wanted to see something this week, so I chose this movie. And when I sat down in this theater and a trigger warning came up, I can count on one hand how many times in my life I have seen a trigger warning come up in a movie. And on one hand, I knew I was going to get something fucked up from that. On the other hand, I was kind of excited because I like when movies take risks and do things that most movies don't have the testicular fortitude to do. But my God, was I not prepared for just how filthy this movie was going to get and how awful and hard it was to watch. And I'm not saying the movie is awful, but Zoe Kravitz puts her lead females in this movie in some really uncomfortable situations that is just so hard to watch and unspeakable to think about. This movie, the trailer made it seem like it was some kind of like horror mystery. It's not a horror, but it's definitely a mystery, and there's definitely horrific things that happen in it, but it's not like a scary movie with jump scares or like a slasher. And look, I've seen a ton of slasher movies. People getting stabbed, beheaded, children getting killed, dogs getting killed, horrific things happening, and those movies don't get a trigger warning. But here, this movie definitely deserved it, and it's definitely gonna be hard for a lot of people to watch, especially if you are a woman. But I think that's what made the movie work for me, is that it took that risk, and then it puts these women in a spot that they just have to have this immense amount of strength to overcome what they figure out what's actually happening. And it's in that moment that it's so easy to get behind them and root for them, that when shit starts hitting the fan, you can't help but just feel so relieved that the girls are finally getting the upper hand on what's happening. Like when John Wick finally starts taking out the people that killed his dog, that's how I felt with our two leads here. It was just really effective. The horrific thing that gets the trigger warning is the John Wick's dog dying, to get you behind what happens in the latter half of the movie when people start dying and they want you to be happy that certain people are dying. Is really hard to talk about without spoiling it, but all the performances were so good here. Channing Tatum, outside of the movie Foxcatcher, which was based off of a true story, this is his best performance I have ever seen him give. Every single second he was on screen, he was absolutely chewing the screen up. I love seeing him in roles like this that aren't the comical action adventure. I really like when he gets these meaty roles that he can dig his teeth into and really get lost in the madness of this character. Naomi Ackie, the lead here, is wonderful. As I said, all the performances are wonderful, But the standout to me was Adria Arjona. Who is this lady? I mean, look, she was in Triple Frontier in a very small role. I liked her in it, but she didn't do anything really stand out. She was good in Andor, but she wasn't in it enough for me to be like, wow, she is a great female actress. She was in Morbius, and she was meh in it, but that whole movie was an absolute fucking train wreck. She was in Six Underground, the Michael Bay Netflix movie with Ryan Reynolds, which was such a fucking disappointment. And then out of nowhere, she comes out with Hitman, the Richard Linklater film with Glenn Powell, and she was wonderful in that film. And now in this, our two leads get a lot of time to shine here and a lot of different emotions they have to portray. And oh my god, they're so fantastic in this film, but she really stood out the most to me, especially during a scene that happens at a dinner table after she's learned the secret of what's going on, and she has to give a performance like she's happy, and that whole set piece, she's just like Oscar-worthy performance there. But at the end of the day, all the performances being great, the real standout here is Zoe Kravitz, because this is her first feature film, and she just has this insanely compelling mystery thriller that you would expect out of a seasoned veteran in this genre. She gets performances out of her actors and actresses that Steven Spielberg would still struggle to get out of certain people today. She gets performances out of actors that a lot of people thought were not great actors. In Channing Tatum, there was a long time where people thought Channing Tatum was the worst actor getting regular work in Hollywood. He has come such a long way, especially since the 21 and 22 Jump Street films. He's really been on this upwards trajectory. But again, I've never seen him give a performance like this before. Same thing with the cinematography. This is an insanely beautiful movie. The shots are all open and wide. The composition is insane. And the sound design in this film, oh my god, there are sound cues in this movie when things are happening that stop happening once the girls start remembering what's going on. So if you go back and watch the movie, every time they wake up a new morning and have forgotten something, there's a certain tune that plays. And the fact that they knew to stop that once they started remembering, it's just these little things that most people aren't going to recognize. But being as invested as filmmaking as I am, there's so many little things put into this movie, little details that are like these hidden little story beats that I find so impressive that they fit into this movie for this first film that Zoe Kravitz ever done. Like, it seems like she is a seasoned veteran at directing movies, and she's not. It's her first time, and it makes me really excited to see what she does next. I want to so badly say I'm so proud of her, but I don't even fucking know her, and she doesn't know me, and that won't mean anything. But it's just a testament to, like, how impressed I am with her first work. Now, as always, it is not a perfect film. There is some logic problems here. People make stupid fucking decisions, which is increasingly baffling my mind that people keep doing in these movies. But it seems to just be like the trope. People need to make stupid decisions to further the plot in this, and one day I will get a movie that's a thriller where nobody makes a stupid decision, but it is not today. But that doesn't take away from the fact that this movie is a wildly entertaining time if you could stomach the horrific things that happen in it. It is a great mystery. I had no idea what to expect, and they don't give it away. I think it's pretty fucking unpredictable just because of how it's so far-fetched, but it gets you right there. It gets right to the edge of unbelievability and then pulls it back to the point where it's like, yeah, I can believe that this is real based off of the scientific facts they're giving me in this film. The only other gripes I have with this movie is you don't really learn what happens to the people that disappear. You see what happens to them, but you don't learn what happens after that. And the very end of this movie, I felt, like I'm talking the last 2 minutes of this film, I felt was a disservice to the main character's arc in this film. I understand what Zoe Kravitz was going for doing that, but it just seems like after all the stuff that they went through, that making that decision to put herself in that place, nobody would do that after what they went through with these people. Nobody. But hey, I guess when people go so long feeling like they're invisible and not seen, get put in a position where they're now very important, they'll look past some horrific stuff. At least that's the message I was getting that Zoe Kravitz was putting down. Anyway, guys, I'm going to give this movie an 8 out of 10. I was pleasantly surprised. I can't wait to buy it again on Blu-ray when it comes out and watch it and try and figure out what other little secret nods they've put in there, like musical cues and stuff like that, to like further the story and what's going on. And as I said before, I can't wait to see what Zoe Kravitz does next. Anyway, guys, I hope I gave you a reason to see this movie in the theaters this weekend if you haven't already. It is a dry weekend, and if you're kind of on the fence, you want to go to the movies, but you don't know what to see, and you have the 3 options that I had tonight, definitely pick this one. It won't be a waste of your time. Anyway, guys, I hope you have a great Labor Day weekend, and as always, I'll catch you next time.